Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to Madam Nurul Ain and my fellow classmates. My name is Muhammad Fakhr Syami bin Zainul Adnan and I'm from SR2435S2. So for today's presentation, me and my group mates Fatin Nur Sahana, Adi Putra Iman and Muhammad Saiful will be presenting chapter 2, the framework for moral reasoning. So by the end of the presentation, you guys will be able to understand the analysis of the everyday ethical problems in sports, moral reasoning, moral values, and moral principle in sports, and also ethical issues in sports, impartiality, consistency, and reflection, and also moral reasoning. And lastly, the examination of 4 major moral principles of justice, honesty, responsibility, and beneficence. So, moral reasoning is a process in which ethical issues and problems are benchmarked against a moral standards so that a moral judgment is made possible. For example, the situation analysis, reality check, decision analysis, and resolution moral judgment, which is right or wrong. It is also for the athletes to determine what they do in the sports is right or wrong. For example, violence in sports, harm done, injuries, and fightings, doing something against the rule of the games, and something illegal. So we're moving to the moral reasoning. Moral reasoning refers to thinking process that involves in judgment about question of things that they do which is right or wrong. For example, a situation is given, 2 athletes are fighting during sports competition is wrong. For example, Akmal believes that 2 athletes fighting in the game is wrong because it can violate the rules or the law of the game, whether it is their physical or their feelings. Moving up to the next subtopic, which is ethical issues in sports. In these responses, lying is acceptable, or rather the untruth is not considered a lie. For example, when someone got tackled in any contact sports and they were acting like they are injured, this is not considered a lie. For example, when someone got tackled in any contact sports and they were acting like they were really injured, the lie or the untruth is an acceptable deceit. It is acceptable because the purpose of the game is about gaining an advantage, and most of the conduct is acceptable as long as the athletes isn't caught fudging, which means as long as the athletes did not get caught by the referee that he or she was lying. Although the lie and the untruth are acceptable, there is also another perspective that is more truthful than the other one, and it is based on a deal nation of fair play. For example, rather than using force to injure an opponent, the athletes will do a clean tackle that is not violating the rules of the game to tackle another player. And this will produce a fair play game and respect of the rules. In this context, it is not about gaining an advantage, or rather the purpose of playing of the game is about skill and respect of the rules. And so that's it from me. For the next topic, we'll be moving on to Fatin Nur Sahana.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Fatin Nur Suhana binti Rosman. So now I would like to talk about what is ethic. The term derived from the Greek word ethos, which can mean custom, habit, character, or disposition. To make it simple, ethic is a system of moral principles that concern with what is good for individuals and society, or principles that guide us to make a positive impact through our decisions and actions. Ethics is a branch of philosophy that involves systematizing, defending, and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior. Furthermore, ethics is essential in sport. It is because it stands not only for a fair play but also for respectful and ethical behavior of all parties engaged, like athlete, referee, fans, while playing game or competing. Next is applied ethic. Applied ethic are the practice, in particular the philosophy of language, that aims the moral judgment governing the direction we make in all areas of our life. Applied ethic also usually assuming an affirmative answer to the existing questions, addresses the moral permissibility of specific action and practice. Applied ethic can be found in almost all kinds of professional field or social practice, while medical ethic, environment ethic, and legal ethic are major subfields, but applied ethic is found in human rights, war, media, communication, sports, academic research, and other areas. Ethics studies according to profession, which is the ethic of medicine, the ethic of teaching, the ethic of coaching, sport ethic, business ethic, ethic of law, and more. Next is there are some type of applied ethic. First is educational practice. Educational practice aims to accelerate the awareness process. Next is political practice, which is it seeks to establish optimum conditions. Last from this slide is philosophical practice. It aims to develop systematic and creative criticism. Okay, let's proceed with moral in ethic. Moral relate to human character or behavior that considered as good or bad. Moral also are what you believe to be right and wrong. This term is also applied to any system or theory of moral values or principles. Many people use the terms morals and ethic interchangeably when talking about personal belief, action, or principles. For example, it is common to say my morals prevent me from cheating, and also the next example is always be patient and loyal. Okay, now the next point is value. Value are the ideas and beliefs about life that guide us to do what we do and be what we are. They can be about politics, family, friends, religion, dishonesty, respect, and many more. Humans have the unique ability to define their identity, choose their values, and establish their belief. Values are things that have different levels according to purpose and circumstances. There are means value and end value. Means value is instrumental value in which actions are translated to achieve a goal. Next is end value, means more specific achievement that have been worked on, which is the result. Example like manager. The means value is responsible, where the manager have the goal to achieve. An example for ends value is success organization. Okay, let's talk about difference between moral and ethic. Moral is more general and prescriptive based on customs and traditions, while ethic is specific and descriptive. It is a critical reflection on moral. Next is moral is more concerned with the result of wrong action when done, but ethic more concerned with the result of right action when not done. Lastly, for morality, in case of conflict between the two, morality is given top priority because the damage is more. It is more common and basic. For ethic, it is less serious and be second priority only. Ethic is less common but relevant today because of complex interactions in the modern society. Okay, that's all for my part. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Saiful Nazar bin Saka. I will present about moral value and moral principle. Okay, I will go one by one for moral value. First, respect. Okay, how get a respect in sport? For example, respect for the victory of others, respect for the opponent and official, and then in real life, like respect the properties of others, respect the environment. Okay, the next one is responsibility. Okay, responsibility in sport, for example, like cooperative with other player, discipline in training in competition. In real life, such as meet the duty, believable, and then self-control. Okay, the next one is care. The care in sport, for example, helping a friend in order to play well, helping a troubled friend, and then playing for the team, not ourselves. Okay, for the in real life, like forgiving, putting greater importance, that is care. And then the next one is honestly. In sport, for example, admitting the error, and then loyal to the team, that is honestly. And then in real life, like having integrity, reliable, and then doing something well. Okay, the next one is fair. Fair, for example, fair on all players, including the different, provide an opportunity for the other players to, that is fair. And then in real life, for example, follow the rules, tolerant to other, and then do not take advantage of the trouble of others, that is fair. And then the last one is attitude. Practice in sport, like being an example, a model, encourage a good behavior. Also in real life, for example, like us, a student, we come early to the class, that is a good attitude. Okay, moral principle. Moral principle is the basic fundamental ideas about the proper behavior of person, and then on which moral standards are based. Moral principles do not depend on a majority vote. For example, wrong is wrong, even if everybody is wrong, right is right, even if nobody is right. That is moral principle. Okay, for the next slide is about moral value and non-moral value. Okay, how are we gonna detect the moral value and non-moral value? Okay, I will give you two statements. Okay, statement A. Alif is a good person. Okay, statement B. Alif is a good footballer player. Okay, for the statement A, Ali is a good person. This is the moral value that show Ali is a good person. Okay, for the statement B, Alif is a good footballer player. This statement shows that Alif is a good at a football, not a good attitude. Alif could be a good footballer player and essentially be an immoral person, such as he's smoking. Even though he's a good footballer, he's smoking, drinking alcohol. Okay, that is the different moral value and non-moral value. Okay, for the next slide is canteen ethic. What is canteen ethic? Okay, canteen ethic is referred to deontological theory, ethical theory, that developed by German philosopher Immanuel Kant. So, deontological ethical theory is concerned with action and whether it is right or wrong and not the outcome. Canteen ethics stress two widely accepted principles of morality. First, moral judgment. Moral judgment must be founded on the universal rules, which are applicable to all persons in the same way. And then the second one is person must always be treated with respect. Okay, there is two concepts of in the canteen ethic. First one is concept of universality. A concept of universality requires you to test rules by seeing if you can apply them universally in the same way to all person. Okay, the next concept is categorical imperative. Okay, categorical imperative state that duties are prescriptive and independent of consequences. A moral directive from reason that is binding without condition. A command that applies to a rational being no matter what. For example, don't use someone for your own purpose. Okay, candidate ethics are widely held today as a standard of reasonableness and rationality. Okay, for example, if someone come to you and ask you, does he look fat? And then you cannot tell a lie, so you just become natural of yourself and ask, yes, you look fat. And then of course that someone that come to you have disappointed in himself, but it is your duty to tell the truth. So that is random act of wickedness. Okay, the next one is condition for establishing moral principle. Okay, DeMarco and Fox 1990 state two general conditions for establishing moral principle. First, moral principle must be explicit in sample. Okay, no abstraction, just basic concrete statement. Okay, the principle cannot too complicated a principle and you may never resolve a problem. So that's mean if the principle is too complicated and then you cannot resolve the problem. Okay, the second one is principle must be also be shared, common, and then universal. The principle you choose are actually cited by people, many different society and culture in various ways. Okay, common principles are shared by the world's major religion, culture, law, and knowledge of basic human nature. Okay, for the next one is writing principle. How are we gonna write the principle? Okay, DeMarco and Fox 1990 argue that principles should be written in the negative rather than positive. Okay, negative principles seem to cover all the situation and cases and apply to everybody all the time. For example, don't cheat means that you know the rules and choose to follow them. Okay, negative principles are powerful in that more people can accept them because evil are being avoided. Okay, for example, no smoking, smoking kill. Okay, that is for example of negative principle. For the positive principles such as smoking is good for the stress people only. Okay, smoking is danger for the smoker only. There is not a good type writing in principle. So that is from me, and thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Traiman bin Abdul Rashid. So I will talk about the perspective for better moral reasoning. So for the first one is the impartiality. Impartiality is meant fairness. It is a decision to prevent from getting bias, prejudice, and also benefit on one-sided. As a human, we tend to seek for our own pleasure. As we all know, we have our own intuition and also emotion, and also others. For the second one is consistent. We need to be very logically to become very consistent in decision making. Being logical and also consistent is the essence of for the moral reasoning. And for the third one is reflection. We need to be very reflective. For example, by having a reflective thinking to make a careful judgment in all moral values. On the next slide, we will go to the 4 moral values, which is justice, honesty, responsibility, and also beneficence. So we'll go with the first one, which is justice. So the first one is distributive. Distributive is a concept of an equality, which means it is equal in all things. So it needs a large amount of fairness to distribute for goods. It need equal work to provide to all individual an equal outcome in a good terms. So for example, it will not happen, distributive will not happen if there is no equal works to all, to everyone. The works need to be an equal outcomes for each individual. So for the second one is procedural. Procedural refer to the formal ethic governance, which includes the approval process and also ethical research guidelines. It is basically by following the laws. So for the third one is retributive. Retributive means a response to the criminal behavior that focus on the punishment of lawbreakers and the compensation of the victims. So for the last one is compensatory. So compensatory refers to extent which people are fairly compensated for their injuries by those who have injured them, and compensation is for proportionally for to the one who has loss inflicted on a person. So for the second one of the moral value is honesty. So as we all know, honesty is need to be related on the truthful of something and also the trustworthy in dealing with all kind of things, including the competitors. So honesty also need to be deal fairly and rightly in speech and also in action. So for the third one is responsibility. Everyone have their own responsibility. So in this case, you need to have your own responsibility in your action, and also it's applied for both moral and non-moral value in this situation. So for the last one is beneficence. So the thing that I list is which is not doing harms, preventing harms, removing harms, and also doing good. So I can conclude that the meaning of beneficence is the act of being kindness, mercy, and also a strong willing of doing a good things, that including the moral obligation. So this is the case study that we choose. So we choose the part of the honesty. As you can see, the title there is the former Rio de Janeiro governor tell the judge that he paid 2 million to buy the host of 2006 Olympics. So that was the example of the honesty is the best policy. So that's all from us. Thank you.